Dave, without further ado, if you'd come up and elucidate us with the facts of aging, exercise, and diet.
Okay, before I get onto those bad topics, who wants a good diet and to exercise, unless you're crazy? I have a couple of announcements. These were sitting back there. Some of you picked them up.
In front of the microphone.
Okay. I'm gonna pass these out so that you can all grab one or 3 or 4 if you have friends that you want to give them to. I have another announcement.
I want one.
A week from Friday night, I sent this out. Maybe some of you just passed over. I can't remember who gave me. Oh, yes, I do. Pastor Karen gave me these. It's celebrating Rachel Harris. Do you know who Rachel Harris is? She was an African-American slave in Westchester who escaped through freedom with the Underground Railroad in Westchester. It's a story of her life in honor of Martin Luther King Day. But it's the 7th and the 9th, and it's at the Performing Arts Center right across from the Historical Society downtown on Main Street. So I sent you these. If you have any questions, go on. You can find your tickets by just scanning this. And I encourage everyone to go. I'm going Friday night. Okay, now on to this topic of exercise and good diet. Oh, geez. I thought I may have one person here. By the way, Dave Walter and Ted Strand, you need to not invite people whose profession is putting people asleep as a speaker. You have designated somebody to go around and wake people up. Okay, great. I just hate getting to the end and looking out there and there's 2 people still listening. Oh, well, here we go. So by the end of this talk, I'm going to give you some inspiration for a more active lifestyle. I'm going to focus on how to improve dietary habits and even present to you courage for overcoming seemingly impossible obstacles, medical obstacles in your life. This is some amazing stuff, because all of us are being watched by our grandkids, some in the near future, as to how we are aging. This happened to me when about 5 years ago, just as the COVID crisis hit. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, you want your children to look like that? Yeah. And I went, no way, no, absolute no way. Okay, so I don't know how many of you, but I have said this more than once. Getting old sucks. It is just the worst part of life. I mean, not being able to open a screw top for your wife in the kitchen.
Sometimes I ask my wife to open it because I can't.
But I have some bad news for all of us. The truth is, we all choose if and how we age. And there's not one person in here that by the end of this talk shouldn't have some motivation to go home and really change how they're looking at things. I set some goals for you. Just start slowly, 10 minutes a day of just walking more. And I'm going to show you some examples of those. And set goals. Increase your daily workout on a weekly basis, or if you want, on a monthly basis. And by 3 months, you should be both moving and stretching at least 4 times a week. And set a long-term goal of competing, and this is new, in the Senior Olympic Games in the US at the national level. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
You can do it. So the long-term goal to active aging is to get involved in your National Senior Games Association. They promote the benefits for everyone over 50 of actively aging. And I include, there's a link up there in the top of the slide. I'm going to circulate the slides tomorrow when I circulate my the recording of this, if the recording doesn't break the machine. So here's an announcement. So there are state Senior Olympics too. So let me get this straight, every even number of years, each state holds their state Senior Olympics. Every odd number of years, the Olympics are held at the USA level. It's both USA and Canada, actually. And I am competing, give you a little bit of heads up, I am competing in the Des Moines, Iowa National Olympics in the 1,500 meter run. I qualified this past summer. And that's my talk. No, does anybody know Oklahoma? Is Columbus the capital of Oklahoma? What side of the Mississippi? Oh, it's on the west side of Mississippi. Yeah. So that's where in 2 years, the National Senior Olympics will be held. And I'm encouraging us. I'm not the first one at Westminster to compete on a national level in the Olympics. Carol Murray's husband, Craig, has competed in the shot put, and he actually came and talked to our group once. Yes.
This probably doesn't count for this conversation, but my uncle Frank Spellman from Malvern, PA, won a gold medal in the 1948 Olympics in weightlifting.
Yeah.
Wow.
He just showed me a picture of him.
Yeah, I don't look like him.
But that wasn't even the Senior Olympics.
That was the regular Olympics.
That was the regular Olympics. Wow. I mean, they even qualify for the regular Olympics.
Yep.
You got to be like a deer. So I put this in. You can all verify that I indeed qualified. There's my name, David Goodale, 75 years old. I was the only 70-year-old running. There was 50, 60, and 80-year-olds. But I'm only competing with those that are 70 to 79. That's how they do it in the state and the Senior Olympics. They do it all based on age. And so pray for me. I actually started training last April and was running July 16th. And in April, they had a 5K race up in Westchester. I had to walk for most of it. I came in second to dead last. And Roz was there from Second Presbyterian Church. She can tell you how slow I was. And I had pulled a muscle about 200 yards out from the start. And I had pain each time I tried to run. But I overcame that through stretching and regular running, and was able to run, as you see on here, 8 minutes and 15 seconds was my time for the 1,500. And the 1,500 is 0.9 miles. Just so you know, it's almost 4 laps of the track, but not quite. But I want to give you some more inspirational examples. This is Julie Hawkins. And Julie Hawkins passed away recently at the age of 108. Wow. On the day we were taking our tour of the museum down in Delaware. What is the museum?
Hagley.
Hagley Museum in Delaware. That's when she passed away at 108. She started running when she was 100. Yes.
So we got time to wait.
No. She was a different type of woman. She married her husband, who was on service in Hawaii over the phone. She was teaching in Louisiana, and they got married over the phone. She was a teacher, I think pretty athletic. She rode her bike 7 miles to work each day. Isn't that amazing? I haven't ever ridden a bike 7 miles. Oh, I guess I went through Europe on a bike. So yeah, we did about 60 miles in a day, average. Anyway, so let me tell you about the real inspirational example. And this is Sherry Kemp. She and her mother in 2019 went to the senior USA Olympics to watch her sister compete in some sort of event. And she and her mother were both, they had to have walkers. And she was on oxygen because she had developed a lung disease, Sherry, and she only had 24% use of her lungs. She had sarcoidosis, which is irreversible. And so she was on oxygen and on a walker. And just to back up, she saw Julie Hawkins running the 100-yard dash, and she set a new world record at the age of 103. And they turned to each other and said, "What are we doing here with our walkers and our oxygen?" And they went home and started moving. They went home and started moving, and within about a year, they threw away their walkers and their oxygen, and they have competed ever since in the USA Olympics.
Wow.
They have to qualify. You don't just get a free pass. You have to qualify at the state level to be able to compete. Isn't that amazing? Think about that. 24% use of her lungs. And she improved that by moving. Each of us should be inspired by that story alone. And I have the links here for you to go and read about her, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, see the link up there? You can click on the whole story and get it. And she'll be in Des Moines. If I see her, I'm going to shake her hand because she's motivated me in a small way. I don't use a walker, but to prevent having to use one before the sun goes down, I'm going to start moving more. Here's another, my last inspirational example. This is Mike Welter. In 2017, he competed in the pickleball and was doing great until 2018. He suffered a massive stroke and lost the use of both his right side of his body, his right arm and his right leg. Could not walk, could not hold anything with us. And he was pretty much, oh, I've ticketed, I've got my ticket now and I'm set. But he had a friend who played pickleball and he called him his guardian angel because he wouldn't let him take his ticket out of life. He took him every day to start playing pickleball again or get therapy for walking. And he now competes again in the National Pickleball Association. Recovered from a stroke. I mean, let me put this away. Those examples alone should be enough to take everybody to school and say, "What? I don't have those hurdles. What am I going to start? I'm gonna start a sign-up sheet for pickleball. We have 2 courts out here in the back. I don't know if you've seen them. Nobody's out there playing right now, promise you. But, who's in charge of that?
Is Stephen Craig still in charge?
No. I can't, his name tag's back there. I was hoping he'd be here. But anyway, let's start. I'm gonna try. I've never played pickleball before, to my son's chagrin. He's not very happy with me, so at least I'll make my son happy. Try something, you know what Julie Hawkins said, the lady that died at 108? She said, try something new every day. Get up and try something new every day. Don't say, oh, they changed that electronic thing. I can't work that anymore. You know, don't be that way. Be open to growing old gracefully. We have one of the worst records for heart disease in the world. We're at the top of the list. We have more heart disease here in the US than any place else in the world. And I have a book that I'm going to circulate. And if you want to see that, it's at the gray tab. But I'll be circulating that after I talk about Alzheimer's disease. Okay, any questions on actively aging? Yes, yeah.
Okay, that all sounds well and good, but I'm not gonna do it. Mainly because, you know, I have to have knee replacement, that kind of. Are there exercises that we can just do every day, you know, balance wise and all? We don't have to.
Exactly, thank you for bringing that up. So in addition, because I pull a muscle, I knew why. I don't stretch unless I'm faking it for my wife, but I'm trying to be healthy. But no, we have to stretch because otherwise our tendons and our muscles become like piano wires. They don't bend. Getting off of the sofa sometimes is a challenge. And it shouldn't be that way. So just doing little simple stretching exercises is important. Joe, show us one. You have one that you wanted to show everybody. He's an athlete. He does boxing. That's why I don't ever insult him.
All right.
I'm 81. I've been doing this for 20 years, I guess. But I used to love watching wrestling. And there was a fellow in there called DDP, Dallas Diamond Page. And he took veterans that, one veteran jumped 126 times out of the plane. By the time he got home and settled in the world, he had every ache and pain you could think of. And what he did to that fella is unbelievable. As far as, and one exercise is so simple. You stand like this, your feet apart, dig your toes into the ground, at your calf muscles, bend your legs for your thigh muscles. Take your arms out like this, deep breath in. And as you're doing it, get your behind and squeeze. Okay, what's it called? A duck or something?
Yeah, it's something. It's more than I do in the morning.
So squeeze your behind. You get all fresh air in, you're getting all that carbon monoxide out. And that's all you have to do. It affects every part of your body. Okay, so practice. Anybody ever see me and if they forget how to do it, just ask me, I'll show you. Do it a couple of times. You want to come up and try, Ted?
Wait, Ray. Joe, Ray's got a question.
Do you do that a few times? Do you do it once or twice?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I try to do one set 10 with one, and some days I'll do 3 sets.
Okay.
Depends on how I feel. You know?
So you're doing multiples.
Excuse me?
You're doing multiples.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you had your leg pain, was it your groin?
Yes,
That's the first thing that goes when you run. One thing to get rid of that is squats. That's another thing in the morning. You can do this. Just get down like this and jump up like that. That gets everything moving.
I'm gonna scare my wife. She'll have to change her clothes, her underwear.
But anyway, the squat is one of the better ones for your groins, especially
Thank you.
runners.
Thank you for that. I don't do squats.
Okay.
So I have like 20 or 30 minutes of exercise that I do. One for my back. I lay down on the bed, pull my knees up to my chest and count to 100. I get in a doorway and put my leg up so that my calf and my heel are going straight up like this, and it stretches the leg. And then I do on the other doorway, I put the other leg up and I stretch that leg. And it's what they ask you to do if you go in for physical therapy at a PT place. What's another one? I will stand at the railing in my house because we have a second floor. And it's a little bit higher than this, but I'll put my feet about this far apart. Keep your heels on the floor and lean over the railings. Right now it's pulling. I can feel very tight calf muscles. And then I'm working towards being able to touch my toes. I can't touch my toes.
Just bend your knees a little bit.
Oh, that's- yeah, where were you?
Yeah, you gotta bend your knees so that you can touch your toes.
But we have to stretch, we gotta move. And it's amazing how much easier just getting off the sofa is after I stretch and run. Well, we're not gonna get through everything, but let's start on diet, because diet is kind of the thing that we don't like to do. We don't like to hear what's good and what's bad. But I'm gonna recommend to you what's Daniel's diet. Test your servants for 10 days. Let us be given vegetables to eat and water to drink. And they took away his wine and his spicy foods that the king was eating. The king wanted him to eat the same foods he was eating. He said, no way. And so vegetables and fruits are the main thing that should be at least 5 helpings a day. Try for 7 of either a vegetable or a fruit. So what's bad? We haven't been told this very often. We used to say, don't eat butter or saturated fats if you wanted to be healthy. That's no longer true. What's true is keep the sugars and your carbohydrates to a minimum. Well, there's nothing else. What else can I eat? Because look at everything. I mean, these are chips, fries. What do you see with love them. They are crazily good, but so I'm going to test you now. Let's do a translation of foods to eat versus steps to get rid of it. I know some of you are going to walk out. Okay. So I've got 4 foods up here: hot dog bun, Cheetos, Skinny Pop, and a little mini Milky Way. Oh, I love these. They are so great. See, one's walking out already. How many steps do you think are needed to take care of the mini Milky Way?
1.
Yeah, you got to get to it. I know.
Yeah, right.
No, let's look. A mini Milky Way takes 2,000 steps. So before you pick it up and tear the package, ask yourself, are you willing to go out and do 2,000 steps? That's how much work it takes to burn 280 calories is what that is.
Just to clarify, the previous slide, it said like 2,000 steps is approximately a mile, is that correct?
Yeah. So this chart, let me explain, and thank you, Jim. This is for people 5'6" to 5'11". The good news is, if you're shorter than me, you have to do even more steps. If you're like Ray Brady or Jim, you have to do less because you got longer legs, more weight. See, it's the weight that you're carrying over those steps plus how far you step as to how much you burn. It's here. You can go to it. You'll be able to see. There's actually 3 of these charts. One for people 6 feet and over, one for people that are shorter than me. There's not one for you, Nancy. But anyway, it does weight, height, and so it's really good. But you would never find this. It took me forever to find this. I almost postponed my talk. Did that answer your question? Good. Okay, hamburger bun, 170 calories. You know why I know this? Because when I go to Freddy's, they not only have a veggie burger that's made from black beans that I like as a substitute for meat, but they also allow you to substitute a lettuce wrap for your bun. 170 calories, that's 4,000 steps for one hamburger bun. And it doesn't taste all that great. Isn't that amazing? So I don't know of another restaurant that allows you to substitute lettuce wrap for a hamburger bun, but I do it all the time. They also allow you to put sauerkraut as a side. Yeah.
Let's do a little math here. It looks like you burn 2,000 or 80 calories for 2,000 steps. We're all told do 10,000 steps a day. Do the math, that's only 400 calories. How are you going to live on 400 calories?
Oh, I know.
So you must be burning calories when you're just couch potatoing too.
Yeah, if you were a couch potato, you would still be burning calories because your heart needs a little bit of energy, and you have to go to the bathroom every once in a while. So there's other things that are using up energy. But anyway, yeah, I can't do 10,000 steps a day unless I'm running. I can do about 7,500 just by walking a lot in the basement.
Oh,
Yes.
I'll go back one. Now that popcorn, is that just bare popcorn or is that buttered popcorn?
It's not buttered popcorn, believe me. This is Skinny Pop. Skinny Pop is a healthy type of, it's one of the few whole grains, right? Think about it. This is a whole grain. So this is relatively healthy. That's why, what's that diet group? Weight Watchers. It's 0 points when you're doing Weight Watchers. I've never done Weight Watchers before, but anyway, it's 0 point. It's healthy. It's not like chips. Chips are almost twice that much. Any other questions? These are great questions. Some of you must be really listening. Okay, so dietary changes for active aging. I found out when COVID set in, I started to want to lose weight, and I was told that you could do it by moving to a ketone diet. And I did. I lost about 10, 15 pounds by putting coconut oil in my coffee every morning. And later on, I found out I could do the same thing with MCT oil. Now, let me see if I got a slide here. Yeah, So I want to teach you about fatty acids because it's very confusing. Some people think that coconut oil is very unhealthy because it contains mainly these two fatty acids, or the medium chain fatty acids. Why are they healthy? Because they diffuse right out of the gut. They don't need a transport process like these long chain things. Once these long chain things get into our bloodstream, if you look at them geometrically, they're very flat. They like to plaque out in our arteries.
Oh, not good.
Why are they called saturated fats? Because all of these have hydrogen substitutions on them. The healthy oils are the unsaturated fats. Olive oil has 3 double bonds. So it has less hydrogens because every double bond takes away 2 hydrogens. Okay, so saturated fats, this length, are what plaque out in our arteries and veins, along with calcium, which is not a good substance for you. I remember there was a time in my life when I was a phlebotomist, don't judge me. But at 6 a.m. I would be drawing blood in the hospital every day. And this woman came in. I walked into her room. She said, "You won't be able to get blood from me." And she was right. I bent my needle on her vein. Her vein was so hard, my needle bent. So she had plaque plus calcium, and she died within a week or two. And I saw her in the morgue. I used to go down there for fun because I'm a little weird. Because what the guy would have me do since I was down there, he'd have, "Oh, can you clean the bowel out?"
Oh.
Sure. Yeah. But anyway, so saturated fats are healthy when they're long chain fatty acids and healthy when they're medium chain fatty acids. And these two diffuse so rapidly that they produce ketones from the liver right away. And ketones are what the brain needs for health if it can't use glucose, okay? Here's a slide that shows you the benefits of MCT oil. It increases ketosis, which is fat burning. How many want to lose fat? Yeah. So it provides brain fuel, instant source of energy. It suppresses appetite. Hey, I'll take that any day. Okay. During ketosis, you're burning 2 types of fat, adipose tissue and dietary fat. What did I have for breakfast this morning? Things I wouldn't have had 10 years ago. 3 strips of bacon, pre-cooked bacon. Oh, and I felt wonderful about 15 minutes later. I felt energy that you don't feel when you are loaded with glucose. You feel hungry and like you're in need of energy. So our brains can use 2 types of energy, usually, glucose or ketones. Now, since we're not like Indians or pioneers, we rarely experience starvation or hunger or go without food for very long. But that's when the ketones kick in. It pulls calories and energy out of your fat system. Except if you have Alzheimer's disease or dementia, and then you can't. Your nerves lose their ability. They become insensitive to being able to use glucose. And I have evidence for this. So I'm going to pass this around. But this physician, Mary T. Newport, she was a physician, but her husband had dementia. And he loved her so much, he'd do anything she said. Well, she asked him to draw a picture of a clock. And it's essentially a blank piece of paper with a couple small circles. She put him on coconut oil. 2 weeks after starting coconut oil, that's the clock. He could also dress himself, which he hadn't been able to do 2 weeks earlier. He also recognized his children again. 2 weeks. What happened is, all of a sudden, those neurons that couldn't use glucose for energy were still there. He'd lost some because, they just begin to die when they're not being used. But pass that around. The green one is at the start when he hadn't had the coconut oil. No, the red one's at the start when he hadn't had the coconut oil. The green picture is 2 weeks after starting coconut oil. Yes.
Is that why they talk about people who have diabetes being much more likely to get Alzheimer's because of the glucose?
Exactly. And now we have examples of Parkinson's disease, the same exact timetable. Now, I'm not going to pass anything around about that, but it's in this book. Examples of people with Parkinson's disease, and their tremors have gone down. My tremors have gone down. I used to not be able to get my watch to come on because my finger was like shaking so much. But now I can do it without my finger shaking because I'm getting coconut oil. And I put some of this, here's MCT oil. And here's another MCT oil. This one is Nature's Way. It says organic MCT oil. I don't know what that gets me, but I will tell you, yes, Jim.
How do you consume the oil?
This is clear. You just pour it in your coffee. I'm demonstrating. I've already put some in. I'm putting some more in. It's tasteless, odorless. Now, this one in the white container is better than this one. That's the organic. And the reason being is I'm going the wrong way, of course. I need more MCT oil. These three are found in coconut oil. This one diffuses not quite as good as the first two. It's a little bit slower because of its chain length inhibits its flow through membranes. When you buy one, make sure it contains only those two. And that's what this is. If you look on the ingredients, it's all C8 or C10. This one, it's C8 and C10, but that's only about half of the MCTs. So the other is C12. Yes.
Dave, I use the coconut oil for cooking. Do I lose any properties by doing that?
A little bit. Its smoke point, which is the point where it breaks down, is a little bit higher. I would use a higher temperature oil like avocado oil. That's what we cook with. You will find dietitians though that say cook with olive oil. That's about the worst thing you can do because those double bonds break down as soon as it's got a very low smoke point. You can't even go over low. Olive oil is for cold salads. That's it. Don't cook with it.
We put the mic back up.
Olive oil is for salads. Olive oil is for salads. And do not cook with it, please. It's simple. Avocado oil is over 475 degrees. You can't break it down, avocado oil. And there's a few others. So anyway. How am I doing, Ray?
Really well.
What, are you dreaming that you're that tall?
Yeah, there's where I wish I'd grown up. Anyway, if you want to borrow these books, I've got them. They're yours for the taking. This one was published, Alzheimer's disease was published years ago. And she published this one much later. I talked to her. I congratulated her on what she was doing. And I said, it's so great that you've published these things. But she was the driving force behind discovering what coconut oil could do for her husband. By the way, C8 and C10 are what's in the majority of women's breast milk. Why? Because they have antibacterial properties. So I was going to tell you this, but I finally got to it. Well, I guess I didn't get to it. But I found out after COVID hit us that I had cured my stomach, where I took Prilosec on a daily basis, sometimes 2 times a day, because I had such bad heartburn. Well, it was due to the bacterium H. pylori. What I found out is C8 and C10 are both antibacterial, antifungal, and they kill fungi too. So just by putting coconut oil, a heaping tablespoon, in your coffee in the morning will cure any heartburn that you have. It also is great for your oral health. By the way, I'm a dentist. So it takes away bad breath. I haven't had bad breath since I don't know when, since I was in dental school. One of my students told me, "You got bad breath. Can you do a better job?" So, if you are experiencing some memory loss, if you have people in your family who are experiencing memory loss, or the early signs of Parkinson's disease, I recommend this. These are instant ketones. These are mainly this. You will immediately go into ketosis and start burning fat and feel very energetic when you start taking that substance, because that's what the C8 and the C10, they're transported to the liver and then they produce the ketones. But this one is immediately ready for brain energy. And so it suppresses your appetite. You don't feel hungry. You feel very energetic. You get more done and you start losing weight. That sounds like a tall tale, doesn't it? Okay, so there's a link here. This is where you go. It's kind of pricey, but it is what it is. And they've got a patent on the process, so not a lot of companies, you won't find other companies selling the same thing. Read the title here. Cancer cells only use sugar for energy. My wife said, "Why didn't my oncologist ever tell me this?" She had anal cancer, had to have surgery, had to have chemotherapy. We drove for 6 weeks straight to Philadelphia for her proton therapy. But they never mentioned stop eating sugar. She could have taken ketones and robbed or cancer cells of energy. Here's another way of saying it. If you want your cancer to grow, do I have medicine for you? Take a little Milky Way bar. Your cancer will grow like crazy. It loves it. Feed me more sugar. That's why we have one of the highest rates of cancer in the USA. Why do we keep going down the same path? Supposedly we're a smarter country, right? Questions on ketones or sugars? Okay. The magnesium, the importance of magnesium in the body. I kind of was preparing this talk and I said, why did you become an expert in magnesium? And then I remembered when we were reformulating the drug propofol or Diprovan that I was in charge of for the US and Canada, we decided to add as a preservative to it EDTA. And EDTA is a chelating agent that takes divalent cations like magnesium and calcium and chelates them. So in all the 12 to 14 hospitals that I set up trials in the US, we gave them not magnesium and calcium measuring devices, but ionized magnesium and calcium, which is the active moiety of these two cations. And so I did a lot of research. And I found out that magnesium is involved in over 300 different enzyme supportive activities, many of which are involved in the generation of ATP. That's the energy fuel in our body. So, if anybody gets as old as I am, you may begin to feel sluggish, run down, slow. Well, when was the last time you took a magnesium supplement? Yes. That wasn't a real question.
Have you ever had anybody mention to you getting headaches from taking magnesium?
No.
Well, I do. I get headaches from taking magnesium.
What form of it?
I don't know. It's a supplemental. It looks like that bottle there.
Oh, the magnesium citrate.
Yes.
You may not be deficient in magnesium, but I don't know how you can tell it because ionized magnesium measuring devices aren't all that plentiful in the hospitals that go around. I would tell everybody that the only side effect I really know about magnesium is the other end, the diarrhea. It's easily, when you're overdosing, to cut back, take half your dose. There's two forms. Magnesium citrate is what I've mainly taken most of my life. I'm going to switch to magnesium glycinate. It's probably the best form of magnesium. The citrate, once it breaks off from magnesium, becomes citric acid. We are acid factories. After we run, what do we produce? Lactic acid. You don't need more acid in our bodies. We need less acid. So by taking magnesium glycinate, this. I also enjoy this. And we have this like on an evening at my sister and brother-in-law's in Madison, Wisconsin. We all have a glass of calm hot tea or cold tea. It's very good and it tastes wonderful. And my wife uses this a lot. In fact, I may get crap when I get home that I took her bottle of it. But anyway, magnesium is involved. So I'm almost done. But I have cured people of major migraines. One lady was put on suspension. If she took another day off from her job for her migraines, she would be fired. And I came around, she was crying. I said, I put her on magnesium. high dose. I said, if it gives you diarrhea, cut back. Within 2 weeks, her Zomig, which is the drug I was also in charge of at AstraZeneca, worked and blocked her migraines. It made her functional again. She could now treat her migraines and come to work. Then she had somebody down the hall that she wanted me to treat. This lady not only had migraines, she had everything. Fibromyalgia, she had gut problems, and she had irritable bowel syndrome. That's what I remember. I put her on magnesium for a couple of weeks, and then the Zomig would work for her. She, instead of getting the nearest handicap parking spot to her desk, started parking on the other side of the building. And she was cured. So yes,
Sounds counterintuitive to me. You have a woman with irritable bowel syndrome and you're giving her magnesium, which can cause diarrhea.
you're right. I don't know how that worked, Jim. But the more important thing is magnesium's main cure is for leg cramps. I have horrible restless legs. Barb said, you were running when I came to bed and you were totally asleep. And my mom used to do that. I'd go visit her at Sunrise Assisted Living. She'd be running and totally asleep. Restless legs, and that's what Calm takes care of, and magnesium. And cramping. On the video here, they'll talk about a lady who had a very unusual symptom. And that was cramping of her anus. Yeah, ouch. I wouldn't want cramping of that muscle. But so it's for all leg cramps, bone aches, muscle aches, tiredness, fatigue. It's just a great thing.
I can attest to that because I have restless leg, or should I say I had it until I started taking that 2 weeks ago. I'm going to send you what I take for that, and that's one of them.
That's great. Yeah, I'm not surprised. It works for everybody. Magnesium is one of the most wonderful things, and I only have 2 minutes. So it's a natural calcium blocker. I do not like calcium. My philosophy, and I know some people who grew up on farms will not like me saying this. I think calcium is good for when you're forming bones and teeth. But at our age, unless you have genetic osteoporosis, which is bone weakness, don't take calcium. It'll give you, and I hate to say this, it'll give you stones, kidney stones, gallbladder stones. Over almost 3/4 of the stones are mainly composed of calcium, and I'm going to include that slide when I circulate these. It's a calcium channel blocker. If you have high blood pressure, they prescribe for you calcium channel blockers. So why are you drinking milk and eating ice cream? Take magnesium because it is a natural calcium channel blocker through competitive inhibition. This shows you that the farmers have given us this deficiency in magnesium because the main things they put in the fertilizer are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Here's the benefits of magnesium. You can read about it. You and me, we got this. I think that describes our life with our partners to the T. So I'm going to stop here because I'm going to circulate all my slides and the recording of this presentation, but you can come up and ask questions later or take a look at these. These are all free to be taken because they're not going to be eaten at home. But anyway, thank you very much for listening.
Okay, just waiting. Yeah. Thank you, Dave. I think everybody's awake from the questions, the interaction with you. Intriguing talk. It says that our diet, our lifestyle is something we should pay attention to. There's a lot of complexities to it, and there's not, in my opinion, there's not one set that fits everybody. We all have to find the fine tuning for our own body and how we react to the substances that we take. So educate yourself. This is a good vehicle that Dave has presented to us, and read, educate yourself. Go to the notable sites like Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic. Those places have good articles on nutrition and diet for different things that you may be wrestling with. So with
And
that,
squats.
exercises are excellent. And jump. So remember, next week, Arlington Cemetery and the Old Guard should be a very good presentation.
Are you the guy
Dave?
that's recruited him? Did you recruit him? I don't know.
I'm
where-
not sure who recruited the speaker, but I look forward to hearing about it.
Yeah,
There's a lot of history there.
okay.
So stay warm, enjoy the week.